Mona ma'am, would you like to read? Mona ma'am? नहीं. जीती?
Okay, I'll read.
Hmm.
In the first 6 chapters, the Gita lays a large foundation for its synthesis of works and knowledge, its synthesis of Sankhya, Yoga, and Vedanta. But first, it finds that karma, works, has a particular sense in the language of the Vedantins. It means the Vedic sacrifices and ceremonies, or at most that the ordering of life according to the Griha Sutras, in which these rites are the most important part, the religious kernel of the life. By works, the Vedantins understood these religious works, the sacrificial system, the yagna, full of careful order, vidhi, of exact and complicated rites. Kriya Vishesha Bahulam. But the yoga works had 2.43 much wider significance. The Gita insists on this wider significance. In our conception of spiritual activity, all works have to be included. Sarva Karmani. At the same time, it does not like Buddhism. At the same time, it does not, like Buddhism, reject the idea of the sacrifice. It prefers to uplift the enlarge it. Yes, it says in effect, not only in sacrifice, yagna, the most important part of life, but all life. All works should be regarded as sacrifice or yagna, though by ignorant they are performed without the higher knowledge and by the most ignorant not in the true order. Avidhi Puruvakam. Sacrifice is the very condition of life. With sacrifice as the eternal companion, the father of creatures created the people. But the sacrifices of the Vedvadins are
Vedavadins.
of Vedvadins are offerings of desire directed towards material rewards. Desire, eager for the result of works. Desires, looking to a larger enjoyment in paradise as immortality and higher salvation. This the system of the Gita cannot admit, for that in its very inception starts with the renunciation of desire, with its rejection and destruction as the enemy of the soul. The Gita does not deny the validity. One, where is it gone?
Yeah. I just scrolled it up for the full paragraph.
Yeah, but I can't find
Here,
where it is gone.
I am highlighting it.
Huh.
The Gita does not.
The Gita does not deny the validity even of the Vedic sacrificial works. It admits them. It admits that by these means one may get enjoyment here and paradise beyond. It is I myself, says the divine teacher, who accept these sacrifices and to whom they are offered. I who give these fruits in the form of the gods, since so and so, men choose to approach me. But this is not the true road, nor the enjoyment of paradise, the liberation and fulfillment which man has to seek. It is the ignorant who worship the gods, not knowing whom they are worshipping ignorantly in these divine forms. For they are worshipping, though in ignorance, the one, the Lord, the only Deva, and it is He who accepts their offering. To that Lord must the sacrifice be offered. The true sacrifice of all the life's energies and activities with devotion, without desire, for His sake and for the welfare of the people. It is because the Vedvada obscures this truth, and with its tangle of ritual ties man down to the action of the three gunas, that it has to be so severely censured and put roughly aside. But its central idea is not destroyed, transfigured, and uplifted. It is turned into a most important part of the true spiritual experience and the method of liberation.
Right. Thank you. Lot to be covered in this paragraph. We'll basically in the last paragraph he had continued that sort of opposition between Brahmavada and Vedavada, Karma Kanda versus Jnana Kanda, etc., between the Vedic synthesis and the Upanishadic synthesis. Some of the references that I gave, especially of the Mundak Upanishad 6 verses in the group chat, they very clearly express that, right? So, and yeah, and fundamentally that so many scriptures and you can get bewildered exactly, what to do and get basically lost in the so many interpretations of the scriptures also, not just the numbers of scriptures themselves, but even their interpretations. So Shruti Vipratipanna, that your mind is bewildered by the Shruti, right? All that. And I mean, as it was not said here, it is said in the Synthesis of Yoga, which is Sri Aurobindo's main book of yoga. According to some people, at least one disciple called Georges van Rechem, the greatest book of yoga ever written, right? That the real Veda, the word Veda means knowledge. So the real knowledge, the true Veda, is the eternal Veda in the heart of every thinking and living being. And the true Guru is the Jagat Guru seated within the heart, right? So ultimately, it comes to that. Obey your soul, it alone has the right to govern your life. This is one of Mother's quotations. So, yeah, basically. So, to pick up from there, Sankhya Yoga and Vedanta is basically what we are trying to harmonize, reconcile. Uh, Knowledge and works, basically, we are still in that thread. So, in the first 6 chapters, Sri Aurobindo, as I have said earlier, he considers the Gita as consisting of 3 distinct parts: first 6, second 6, and last 6. Okay. Some of the people were not there when I said this earlier. That's why I'm repeating it here. And for the first 6 essays, for the first 6 chapters, sorry, he has written the first part of the essays on the Gita. First 24 essays are for the first 6 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita. Then the next 24 are to cover the other 12, right? And so on. So in the first 6 chapters, the Gita lays a large foundation for its synthesis of works and knowledge. Its synthesis of Sankhya, Yoga, and Vedanta. Okay. In these, the Sankhya, Nana Yogena Sankhyanam, Karma Yogena Yoginam. So Jnana is sort of equated with Sankhya. Karma is sort of equated with Yoga. And Vedanta has both the ideas. Like if we, Vedanta basically means Upanishads that way. If we see the Isha Upanishad, it clearly says, Kurvan neveha karmani, doing works verily in this world. Jiji Vishet Shatam Samaha. And how it will not bind you if you do it in a spirit of renunciation of desire. So the Isha says that. But the Mundaka, as I quoted on the group again, everybody has to read those 6 verses. Usme there is no, no shortcut basically. It does not say that. It says that actions and all, they are for the unwise people. And the real thing is to drop everything and go to the forest. Clearly, it even uses the word forest. So both are Vedanta. So both the ideas are there depending on the stage of the Vedantic scripture. So the Isha belongs to the earlier group, which was having or continuing the spiritual pragmatism of the Vedas. The Mundaka, it seems, belongs to a later group in which that spiritual pragmatism of the Vedas was slowly lost, right? So, yeah, this much so far. But first, it finds wherever anybody feels like something is going too fast or कुछ समझ में नहीं आ रहा है, please stop. These are very informal sessions. इसमें ऐसा कुछ नहीं है, ठीक है? But first, it finds that karma, works, has a particular sense in the language of the Vedantins. Vedantins, by the time of the Gita, when the Gita was written. Okay. What does it mean? Works. It means the Vedic sacrifices. That's what the word karma means. You don't even need to use the full word karma kanda to be specific. कर्मा वर्ड का मतलब वेदांतिन्स के लिए तब तक ये बन गया था, क्या बन गया था? द वैदिक सैक्रिफाइसेस एंड सेरेमनीज, और एट मोस्ट दैट, एंड द ऑर्डरिंग ऑफ लाइफ अकॉर्डिंग टू द गृह्य सूत्रस. Grihya Sutras, I mean, I have not read any. I'm not aware exactly where they are to be found. But I mean, just a simple this thing, search can tell you. Or even word wise, Grihya mane grah se related. So for the householder, if you are say Agnihotri ek surname hota hai aaj bhi. So basically, those Brahmins or those classes of people who are doing the Agnihotra daily, that would be something prescribed in the Grihya Sutras. That this is what the Grihastha has to do. These are the rituals, etc., etc. Right? And the ordering of life according to the Grihya Sutras, in which these rites are the most important, the religious kernel of the life. Even today, those who follow the Arya Samaj strictly, they they would feel guilty if they are not doing a yajna daily. I mean, that's how it is supposed to be. So periodically they do a yajna. They give a lot of importance to yajna. It is their main, if you want to use the word, spiritual activity. Okay, the Vedic sacrifices and ceremonies, and because I mean, fine, the system has its merit, and all Hindus, they will have some kind of a Vedic sacrifice or ceremony performed at the different stages of life, or according to a Griha Pravesh or whatever. But if you, what I want to say basically, if you give too much importance to it, and make it the be all and end all, and इसी के द्वारा सब कुछ प्राप्त होगा, that thing becomes a little narrow. And हालांकि आर्य समाज में the aim is basically that they don't believe in मूर्ति पूजा, by the way. They don't believe in the Puranas, by the way. ठीक है? For them, Krishna and all is a myth. It's all a romance, nothing else. Right? So that itself shows the narrowness of the system. But basically, Sri Aurobindo makes this observation somewhere. I'm just taking it from him. I'll post the reference somewhere later on. That because of that sort of rigidity, it was not really able to go beyond the Punjab region. It is there, or in Western India, it is mostly prevalent there. Okay, they have spread to other parts of the world also. But as such, the following is not that great. Just to give an example, not to point fingers at anybody, we are just studying, right? Yeah. The Vedic sacrifices and ceremonies, or at most that and the offering of life, according to the Grihya Sutras, in which these rites are the most important, the religious kernel of the life. In South India, for example, sometimes you find this surname among people, Ahoratra. Basically, what it means is Aha means day, Ratra means night. So, those Brahmins who are performing that ceremony day and night. Essentially, that is what it means, right? They're still there in South India, especially. The Vedic system is followed very rigorously by some Brahmins, right? Large number, actually. If you would count, it would go into lakhs. Yeah. In India, basically, nothing ever dies. Anything which has served some great purpose in the evolution of humanity, something of it is preserved in some part of India always. This is a distinct peculiarity of India. It might die out in other parts of the world, but in India, that never happens, right? Yeah. By works, the Vedantins understood these religious works, the sacrificial system, the yajna. Just using this as an opportunity, here if you see, for the jna wala jo word hota hai, consonant hota hai, though it's a mixed consonant, here he puts the tilde over the na. Okay. Earlier, when the word jnana had come in the same chapter, there was no tilde over n. So that's why I said he uses both the spellings for that. So strictly speaking, this would be pronounced as yajna. Okay. वो chavarg का nasal sound like that. But as I said, even the other spelling without the tilde is there, in which case it would be simply yajna or jnana, right? It's good that the example came in the same chapter. Okay. By works, the Vedantins understood these religious works, the sacrificial system, the yajna, full of a careful order, vidhi, of exact and complicated rites, kriya vishesha bahulam. Yeah. This is reference to 2.43. Kamatmanah swargapara janma karma phalapradam kriya vishesha bahulam bhogaishwarya gatim prati, and so on. Vidhi word के और examples इसमें आएंगे. So in the 17th chapter, when the tamasic, rajasic, and sattvic yajnas are mentioned, so the Gita says that that yajna in which the vidhi is not followed, vidhihinam asrishtanam mantrahinam adakshinam shraddha virahitam yajnam tamasam parichakshate. This word comes in the verse comes in the 17th chapter. So the vidhi is very important. When you have to perform this kind of yajna. And a vidhihina 17.13, right? Yeah, full of a careful order, vidhi, of exact and complicated rites. Yeah, kriya, vishesha, bahulam. Vishesha meaning exact, bahulam means many, kriya means rites, actions. Okay, but so this is in the idea of the Vedantins or in the Vedanta. What are we trying to do right now? Sankhya mostly we have covered. Sankhya and Yoga was the last chapter, meaning they mainly dealing with that. In this, we are basically reconciling the Vedanta with the Yoga philosophy as it stood at the time when the Gita was written. Okay, yeah. तो ये अब तक हुआ वेदांत का. But in yoga, now, in yoga, works had a much wider significance. The 2.43 is the बाद में लिखा है, but it is basically reference to Kriya Vishesha Bahula. In yoga, works had a much wider significance. It's not just these rituals. How to do these rituals in the spirit of yoga is told in the chapter Karma Yoga, mainly in the chapter Karma Yoga, the 3rd chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Okay, it starts there. That's like a fantastic chapter, unbelievable chapter. But in yoga, works had a much wider significance. Includes that, but it has a much wider significance. Okay, not restricted to that, just the rites and rituals. The Gita insists on this wider significance. The Gita insists, जोड़ देती है. मतलब, insist का क्या मतलब होता है? To press on it, on this wider significance. In our conception of spiritual activity, all works have to be included, sarva karmani. Just this sentence can be sort of equated, with that masterful sentence of Sri Aurobindo, all life is yoga. Somebody, a yogi, I heard him this thing on internet. He said, this is the greatest sentence in English language. All life is yoga. Synthesis of yoga ka first chapter ka last sentence. Okay. So, but to come back to this, the Gita insists on this wider significance. In our conception of spiritual activity, all works have to be included, sarva karmani. This he is taking from 3.26, wherein he says that the man who sets the example, na buddhi bhedam janayet ajnanam karma sanginam joshayet sarva karmani vidwan yuktah samacharan. The vidwan, the one who knows, he will engage through his example other people who are not so enlightened in all kinds of activities, sarva karmani. So basically this is 3.26 from where the word is taken. Now here, just one thing more can be said to elaborate the point further, to clarify it further, that sometimes, a lot actually, not just sometimes, when we think of spiritual activity, okay, we tend to confuse it with religious activity, forgetting that all life has to be made religion, and only puja path type ki activity or some kind of noble activity or holy activity, that we consider as spiritual and the rest as non-spiritual. Like reading the Gita, or doing puja, arti, or whatever, snana, abhisheka, all that is part of the religion. It is all wonderful. It builds the connect of your different parts of the being with the divine. इसमें से कुछ भी छोड़ना नहीं चाहिए, as long as it drops off naturally according to the growth of consciousness. But the mistake that has to be corrected is not to regard only these activities as spiritual activity. ये बहुत 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 बड़ा point है, जो गीता का point है, सर्व कर्माणु.
So those are religious activities.
Religious plus spiritual, done with a spiritual idea behind. But to think that only these kind of activities are spiritual is wrong. Because what is the Gita saying? In our conception of spiritual activity, all works have to be included. What is Arjuna being asked to do? He's being asked to slaughter people. अब ये कोई spiritual activity है? I mean, on the face of it, if you see, you will be like, इसको घोरम karma. That's what he calls it, na? Why are you engaging me in this ghoram karma?
So as long if you have offered your work, whatever you are doing and surrendered, and then you're doing that work, so then it makes the activity, any activity, spiritual.
It makes it spiritual. It makes it a process of the yoga. It makes it karma yoga. I may give an example here that, like in the ashram, it's practiced even in other ashrams, but I can give examples of this ashram which I know most well. If a retired professor were to come, Brahman wala activity kar raha and all, and mother would sometimes put him in the dining room, sometimes to remove that intellectual ego. There was a great Siddha called Baba Ramakrishna Das. He had the darshan of Lord Rama more than once. He is the one who converted the entire Odisha to Sri Aurobindo, right? Him, mother had put in the wiping section of the dining room to wipe this thing. I'm not saying, of course, ego, it takes a very long time to go. So, sometimes these activities are assigned to get rid of certain kinds of ego. But to clean the toilets, इस type के काम करना. Anything basically. अरे आसान नहीं है, कहना बहुत आसान है. It's easy to say. If any of us on this group, I don't know, like that. If you were asked to even give a tight slap to somebody, because it is necessary that, stroke of Mahakali to uplift that person out of his torpor, his or her out of torpor, would we be able to do it with the spiritual consciousness? हमें कहीं ना कहीं लगेगा कि ये क्या violent काम हमसे कराया जा रहा है. All this is just examples. But ये जो सर्व कर्माणी वाला है ना, कोई भी काम छोटा नहीं है, ठीक है? और हर काम ईश्वर की पूजा बनाया जा सकता है, बनाना चाहिए. That is the only way in which all life is going to become yoga. ठीक है? अगेन वो 18.46 से आप रिलेट करें जो हमने पहले भी पढ़ा था. यतः प्रवृत्तिर्भूतानाम येन सर्वमिदं ततम स्वकर्मणा तम अभ्यर्च्य. It does not say what type of karma. Whatever action you are doing, swakarmana, by your action, tam abhyarchya, if you worship that from whom everything has come and that of whom all this is a self-extension, if you worship that divine with your action, siddhim bindati manavah, then you are going to attain perfection. ठीक है? तो ये सर्व कर्माणी वाले पॉइंट पे रिफ्लेक्ट करने की जरूरत है, और रिफ्लेक्ट से ज्यादा इसको एकदम हार्डकोर प्रैक्टिस में लाने की जरूरत है. That we do not consider certain activities only as spiritual and the rest we don't do, because it is too low for me. ये मेरे लिए बहुत छोटा है, मैं ये नहीं करूंगा. It should not be like that. This is just a central point which had to be made. Dhaval bhai?
Anmol bhai, two things. One, on the comment that you made right now, right? He basically गुस्सा आया थप्पड़ मारना है, right? Now,
गुस्सा आया थप्पड़ मारना है नहीं, then it won't be spiritual. If it is done all I am saying is something violent or something sort of ghoram or something which does not appear spiritual, if we are being asked to do it, then are we able to do it? That's what
I am just completing that. I'm just adding to what you said.
Yeah.
It should not come from the lower nature, the rise of anger.
Then that is ego. You are remaining trapped in the trigona.
You are remaining. But if it see किसी ये घोरम कर्म करना है, तो you have to descend into the tamas. But here you are.
No, you don't have to descend into the tamas.
तो आपको गुस्सा, आपको ये घोरम कर्म करना है, तो you have to still be situated in higher and then do the ghoram karma.
Yes,
but
yes.
then
Yes.
how
it is not ghoram karma, then it actually muktasya karma.
No, but
ghoram karma वो lower consciousness को लगता है. But when the consciousness through the practice of yoga is established in the divine, it is no longer ghoram karma, it is muktasya karma. It is the action of a liberated being.
No, but let me complete my question. But you still need to make use of the gunas to act. So when you are even stationed in higher consciousness and then doing even a karma which is it's
no longer the gunas, Dhaval bhai, the gunas get transformed. It's no longer the gunas as they are in the lower nature.
But
still, you are in the higher, the gunas are transformed. Remember, tamas becomes shama, rajas becomes tapas, sattva becomes jyotihi. So you have already transcended the gunas. If
नहीं,
you are
पर
if you are not gunatita, then you are still in the lower nature.
नहीं, बट मैं एक सिंपल सवाल कर रहा हूँ, ये स्ट्रेंथ जो आएगी कैसे आपको? इन
भगवान
द
से
सेंस,
आएगी और कहाँ से आएगी?
नहीं, you will have to, if a very simple act, if you have to kill somebody, you require so much of force.
That's
Like
what I'm
in
saying.
the
That force
movie,
will come from the divine, but not from the Rajoguna, from the transformed version of Rajoguna, which is tapas.
okay.
You understood?
But then gunas are not playing the role there, right?
Gunas have been transcended. The purpose of the Gita is to make you transcend the gunas.
You transcend the gunas, but wouldn't you have to get that force from
आप
the
वही तो
gunas?
समझ नहीं रहे हैं ना। वो आप बिल्कुल ठीक कह रहे हैं, वो फोर्स की जरूरत पड़ेगी आपको काम करने के लिए।
हाँ,
बट उस
कार्य
फोर्स
करने
का
के
जो
लिए।
नेचर है, होल्ड ऑन,
हाँ,
उस फोर्स का जो नेचर है वो चेंज हो गया है।
अच्छा,
इन
ठीक
द
है।
लोअर नेचर द सेम रजोगुणा, वो धूमिलता उसके अंदर होगी, दैट स्मोकीनेस, दैट उसके अंदर वो पोल्यूशन, that element of desire, that element of personal thing, enmity, violence, etc., etc. But when through the process of yoga it has been transmuted, it will be simply the pure tapas. It will be a pure divine energy flowing through you.
So can you elaborate the symptom of that then? Like
Can I
when you
what?
say, can you explain the symptom in the outward of that?
Symptom क्या बताना है उसमें? It is
Symptom-
simply the divine force flowing through you.
नहीं, कोई like
let's say if the जो से अपने पुराणों वगैरह में दिखाते हैं या दुर्गा सप्तशती में दिखा रहे हैं कि when the divine mother is killing all these asuras, do you think that she is doing it out of rajoguna?
no. So
That's what I'm saying. That is an example of that kind of. अर्जुना का इसमें जो दिखाते हैं बाद में जो वो करता है महाभारत में, that is not action through the rajoguna.
no, I understand, but what I'm saying is he still has to bring that force and the anger also. The anger he has to kind of show, or rather use it to deliver the blow, is what I'm trying to say.
It is then not anger in the lower sense. It is the Rudra Bhava. उसको रुद्र भावा बोलते हैं.
Acha, got it. That was the word I was looking for. Because
it is
if
called Rudra Bhava. Even Sri Aurobindo had to use it a couple of times. He did use it, but he said that humanity is not ready for it, and the couple of times that I have used it, it has had disastrous consequences. So therefore, he did not use it anymore.
Okay, no,
Mother
that word.
Mother also, in very few cases, she used to unleash her Mahakali Shakti only those children of mother who were having total faith in her, whose love and devotion for mother was total. Only in such cases mother was using the Mahakali Shakti, and in those cases the progress of the sadhak was very fast. But in most other cases it would be the Mahalakshmi that would be used.
Acha. Because this now, good you mentioned the Rudra Bhava, because that was the word I was looking for.
Yeah. I think that word solved your.
Yeah, even in the movie Vad, they see it's the same thing.
That is basically the Rudra Bhava, correct.
Rudra Bhava is shown. Okay, and then the second one, in this particular sentence that we just read, in the 1 minute, where did it go?
Which sentence?
Yeah, the last sentence, the
Gita insists wala.
No, 1 minute. But in the yoga, works had a much wider significance. So at this particular line, Sri Aurobindo is now shifting to comparison between yoga, not the Veda, the yoga that he had mentioned, which he compares with Sankhya, which he synthesizes with Sankhya, right? Here the word yoga is not the Vedic meaning, but here...
No, it is not. Certainly not.
Okay. Yeah, that's
here
what I
wanted
to...
yoga is
karma yoga.
Is karma yoga.
Correct.
As it is known before the Bhagavad Gita.
Correct. That's exactly what I wanted to confirm. Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
Okay.
Small. I think you will.
थोड़ा सा louder बोलिए अरोड़ा जी, थोड़ा सा louder.
Question, if I recollect, I don't remember the shlokas. Even the voluntary and involuntary work of your body.
Even the involuntary what?
Works of your body.
Works of your body.
Like breathing, walking, talking, eating. All this is taken as karma. It can be part of karma.
Yeah.
I think there is some shloka, I don't remember where.
या एक तो ये है नहीं कश्चित क्षणमपि जातु तिष्ठत्य कर्मकृत शरीर यात्रा पिचते न प्रसिद्धेद कर्मणः कि बिना कर्म के तो शरीर यात्रा भी नहीं हो सकती। और इस तरह का जो आप बोले ना, पश्यन शृण्वन स्पृशन जिघ्रन अश्नन गच्छन स्वपन श्वसन, उसमें वो जो श्वसन है दैट इज रेफरिंग टू द ब्रेथ, श्वास। तो वो है 5th या 6th में है, मैं ढूंढ करके यहाँ पे डाल दूंगा लेटर ऑन।
All right. Okay. That is also
उसमें वो बोलते हैं कि
common.
इवन while you are doing this, you know that it is not you who are doing this, it is something which is happening through you. It is something which is happening spontaneously. ये रहा।
But my consciousness can be, I'll say, elevated or transformed if I do
Yes,
this.
yes, exactly.
Why
5 point, sorry, it
why
is
do we, no, no, no.
5.8 and 5.9.
In
नैव
support of
किंचित
this,
करोमीति युक्तो मन्येत तत्त्ववित् पश्यन् शृण्वन् स्पृशन् जिघ्रन् अश्नन् गच्छन् स्वपन् श्वसन् प्रलपन् विसृजन् गृह्णन् उन्मिषन् निमिषन्नपि इन्द्रियाणि इन्द्रियार्थेषु वर्तन्त इति धारयन्। नैव किंचित करोमीति, न एव किंचित करोमि इति, आई डू नॉट डू एनीथिंग। ठीक है। युक्तो मन्येत तत्त्ववित्, जो युक्त है, जो तत्ववित् है, उसकी मान्यता ये रहती है, दैट इज व्हाट ही थिंक्स, दैट इज व्हाट ही अंडरस्टैंड्स। देन ऑल द एक्टिविटीज ऑफ द सेंसेस आर लिस्टेड। पश्यन् शृण्वन् स्पृशन् जिघ्रन् अश्नन् गच्छन् स्वपन् श्वसन्, स्लीपिंग, ब्रीदिंग, सीइंग, हियरिंग, टचिंग, स्मेलिंग, अश्नन माने ईटिंग, ऑल दिस, प्रलपन, विसृजन, गृह्णन, होल्डिंग, एटसेट्रा एटसेट्रा, इंद्रियाणि इंद्रियार्थेषु वर्तन्त इति धारयन्। ठीक है। दैट दिस इज द प्ले ऑफ द इंद्रियास इन द ऑब्जेक्ट्स ऑफ द इंद्रियास, बट नैव किंचित करोमि, मैं कुछ नहीं कर रहा हूं। सो इवन व्हाइल ऑल दिस इज गोइंग ऑन, you are conscious that you are not doing it, it is something which is happening automatically.
but simultaneously, even if it is happening, if I attach my conscious or elevate my consciousness to the work, like walking while taking the name of Lord, or while eating and while taking, or inside taking the name without really being verbal, that is also, I think, covered by
Definitely,
karma.
definitely.
Okay.
यत् करोषि यदश्नासि यज्जुहोषि ददासि यत्, यत् तपस्यसि कौन्तेय तत् कुरुष्व मदर्पणम। एक ये श्लोक है आगे जाकर के, इवन फॉर द ईटिंग वाले के लिए देयर इज अ श्लोका इन द 4th
This is
chapter,
chapter 5. Is it chapter 5?
नहीं, दिस इज इन द लेटर चैप्टर। यत् करोषि वाला बाद में आता है।
Okay, all right. Okay.
I'll paste it later on. ये यत् करोषि is I think in the 9th chapter.
All right. Okay.
ठीक है। Okay. Okay, so the Gita insists on this wider significance in our conception of spiritual activity. All works have to be included. Sarva karmani. Very, very important. ठीक है। This itself will take us towards that all life is yoga. At the same time, it does not, like Buddhism, reject the idea of the sacrifice. That's what Buddhism did. It was a revolt against the Vedic religion outwardly, right? कि ये यज्ञ वगैरह कुछ करने की जरूरत नहीं है। Even some of the, I mean, many of the Brahmins also, they converted to Buddhism when they were intellectually defeated. Basically, they had become intellectually lazy because of just doing the rituals mechanically. They had stopped understanding the meaning of the rituals. That is why, right? So at the same time, it does not, like Buddhism, reject the idea of the sacrifice. Sacrifice माने यज्ञ, उसके आइडिया को रिजेक्ट नहीं करती है गीता. It prefers to uplift and enlarge it. This is done most wonderfully in the beginning of the 3rd chapter है थोड़ा बहुत, and in the 4th chapter, my goodness, there are like 7 or 8 verses. ओफो, मतलब ब्रह्मार्पणम ब्रह्म हविः ब्रह्माग्नौ ब्रह्मणा हुतम ब्रह्मैव तेन गंतव्यम ब्रह्म कर्म समाधिना दैवमेवापरे यज्ञं योगिनः पर्युपासते ब्रह्माग्नावपरे यज्ञं यज्ञे नैवोपजुह्वति शब्दादीन् इन्द्रियान् यज्ञे संयमाग्निषु जुह्वति श्रोत्रादीन् इन्द्रियान् यज्ञे इन्द्रियाग्निषु जुह्वति सर्वाणि इंद्रियकर्माणि प्राणकर्माणि चापरे आत्मसंयम योगाग्नौ जुह्वति ज्ञानदीपिते द्रव्य यज्ञास्तपो यज्ञ। इट गोज ऑन, इट इज सो पावरफुल। मतलब आपको अपने अंदर की अगर अग्नि जलानी है ना, वो उफ, जस्ट रीड दोज वर्सेस। सैक्रिफाइस के ऊपर है वो 4th चैप्टर में।
ये सब
स्टार्ट हुआ था 4.24 से। हाँ,
ये सब अर्थार्थियों के लिए हो जाएगा, राइट?
वो सब बाद में आएगा। अर्थार्थी
नहीं, जस्ट मैं
4th
पूछ
चैप्टर
रहा
आया
हूँ।
नहीं है,
नहीं
उसमें
आया नहीं
अर्थार्थी
है।
वाला कॉन्सेप्ट नहीं है धवल भाई, बाय द वे।
इसमें
जो मैंने
अर्थार्थी
बताया,
नहीं
ऑल
आता।
दिस इज डिफरेंट काइंड्स ऑफ यज्ञ।
अच्छा 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 अच्छा।
द्रव्य यज्ञास्तपो यज्ञ योग यज्ञास्तथा परे स्वाध्याय ज्ञान यज्ञाश्च यतयः संशितव्रताः। हम जो अभी कर रहे हैं वहां पे उसको ज्ञान यज्ञ बोला जाता है। उसमें से कुछ भी जो है वो अर्थार्थी के लिए नहीं है. इट इज टीचिंग यू डिफरेंट काइंड्स ऑफ योगा, हाउ डिफरेंट काइंड्स ऑफ यज्ञ. ठीक है, हाउ ईटिंग इज अ यज्ञ, हाउ प्राणायाम इज अ यज्ञ, हाउ अ द्रव्य यज्ञ इज अ यज्ञ, हाउ दिस सेल्फ कंट्रोल इज अ यज्ञ, हाउ स्टडी इज अध्ययन इज अ यज्ञ. जब वो वर्सेस आएंगे तब वो आएंगे, दे आर जस्ट अनबिलीवेबल. केवल उनको पढ़ने मात्र से मैं बोल रहा हूं, आपके अंदर की वो जो अग्नि है ना वो प्रज्वलित हो जाएगी.
मतलब ये अर्थार्थी के लिए नहीं है.
बार बार उसमें वर्ड आता है जुह्वती. जुह्वती, जुह्वती मतलब अग्नि के अंदर उसको अर्पित करना. दैट वर्ड इटसेल्फ ना, इट इज सो पावरफुल. इफ आई एम सेइंग दिस, मतलब हाँ, बहुत पावरफुल है. ठीक है.
नो, थैंक्स फॉर द क्लैरिफिकेशन. मुझे लगा अर्थार्थियों के लिए ही है, नहीं ये सभी के लिए.
नहीं नहीं नहीं. It is, again I am saying, again I am telling you, it is to show the yogic aspect, how to take the yajna thing in a yogic spirit,
in a broader sense. Yeah. Okay.
in the spiritual spirit.
Yeah. Thank you.
Anmol, I have a question here.
Yeah.
Just now you mentioned about these sacrifices and all that, like in Buddhism, they rejected it. And my question is that all the works that we do, whatever we may do, I'm not talking about the rituals, I'm talking about the day-to-day work, daily works. If we offer that to the divine, surrender to the divine, offer to the divine, that is also a sacrifice to my
Yes.
understanding?
100%. It is a yajna, and that is the
Is it
yajna which the Gita is insisting you to do.
Yes, yes, that is
Right now you are
lifetime
listening
yoga.
to this. Right now you are listening to what I am saying. Right now you are reading this. ये दोनों activity हो रही है ना. Now this activity right now has to be done as an offering to the divine within you.
Yes,
and
that
to the
is the
divine in the
sacrifice.
universe, and to
That
the
is the
divine who transcends
sacrifice.
everything.
Yes, and that
if
is a
one does not do
sacrifice.
it, if one does not do it, you can never come out of karma bandhana.
Karma bandhan, I understand that.
3.9
Yes.
yajnarthat karmano anyatra lokoyam karma bandhanah. Any action that is not done in the spirit of yajna is a source of bandhana. Yajnarthat karmano
It can
anyatra
affect.
loko ayam karma bandhanah. And then the injunction, tadartham karma kaunteya mukta sangha samachara. Therefore whatever you do it as a sacrifice to that mane divine. Mukta sangha, being free from attachment. Samachara
Yes.
means practice.
So that it doesn't come and bite you later.
Yeah.
Anytime, right?
Yeah. And so that basically it becomes a source of enlargement of consciousness and freedom for you, instead of narrowing
Yes.
you down or binding you.
Anmol,
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
just adding to this, I had just a small clarification.
Yes, please.
As ma'am just asked Abhi ki the works, and you explained brilliantly that our works have to be done in the spirit of sacrifice.
Yeah.
We have to offer it to the divine.
Yes.
Now my question over here is, like all activities, as Sri Aurobindo also says, are to be done as an offering. So now suppose I am doing something, I am studying, I am listening to you, so I offer it mentally to Krishna, to Mother, and then what should I do? Like, should I constantly meditate on her? Because on one hand Gita also says yoga karmasu kaushalam. So if I have to be doing my work skillfully and I am thinking of Krishna all the time, how will I perform my activity?
So what happens is, basically, very good question, very practical question. You are saying basically that if you are thinking of Krishna constantly, then it will divert your attention from your work. Then how will your work have its true efficiency, right?
Yes. So one way I offer it, other way I meditate.
Correct,
that
correct,
practical thing I not doing.
Correct. So what happens is, when this thing grows in you, when this spirit of offering your works to the divine grows in you, then there is a sort of split in your consciousness. Split in the sense that the inner part of your consciousness, it remains turned inward and absorbed in the divine and looking towards the divine. ठीक है? इसी को कठोपनिषद के एक वर्ष में बोलते हैं कि वो अंतर्मुखी हो जाता है. बहुत पावरफुल वर्स है, याद आ जाएगा तो मैं बोल दूंगा. But more than the verse, it's the concept which is important. And the external part of your mind that keeps engaging with the activity.
Oh, okay.
And exactly. इस पे थोड़ा धीरे ही चल रहे हैं अभी हम, ठीक है? So inwardly, that's what Sri Aurobindo says. Now, if you read his letters on yoga, there is an outer consciousness, there is an inner consciousness, there is an inmost consciousness.
Inmost.
With the practice of yoga, the inner consciousness opens. Now, when that inner consciousness will open, what will happen is you will live within. Sri Aurobindo says that, like you are living inside a fort. The sadhak should live like that. So you live within. You live within in that divine consciousness, and from there you act. From within outward like this. ठीक है? दूसरी चीज क्या होती है वेरी इंपॉर्टेंटली व्हेन यू सेड योगः कर्मसु कौशलम, उसका मतलब है इट इज योगा विच इज डेक्सटेरिटी और कुशलम इन वर्क्स. ठीक है? सो why is it like this? Because when you are in a state of yoga, when you are united with the divine consciousness, it is only then that the perfect knowledge and the perfect energy etc can flow into your work. If you are not united, then the work will never be kushal.
Okay.
Yes.
So when you are united, so the work then flows from the divine Shakti.
Yes.
At that time.
It flows from the divine Shakti, and then it will become very efficient. It will tend towards perfection. उसके अंदर वो perfection आएगा. Knowledge का element, it will be done with the right knowledge. It will be done with the necessary skills. वो जो मदर की 4 powers हैं, wisdom, harmony, strength, perfection, वो चारों का उसके अंदर पूरा उसके अंदर वो they will be मतलब imbued in that.
Okay.
Yes, the perfection of Mahasaraswati, the beauty and harmony aspect of Mahalakshmi, वो सारा wisdom of Maheshwari, वो सारा वो आपके actions में आने लगेगा.
When we are united inwardly.
When you are in yoga, yoga karmasu kaushalam. It is yoga that is the kushalta in works. This is why. Because unless you are in that yoga, तब तक वो कुशलता आ ही नहीं सकती है.
आ ही नहीं सकती. True sense. Correct. Thank you. Got it.
अनमोल
And
भाई
that
इसी
is
को
also
डबल कंसंट्रेशन बोलते हैं ना.
Yes, double concentration बोलते हैं इसी को कि one part of the consciousness is turned inward and looking towards the divine, and the external part of the being is engaged in the activity. Correct. Thank you, Dhaval bhai.
And if you're doing a japa, jap all the, I won't say all the time, but most of the times if you try to do it. And I think a time comes when it happens, it starts happening on your own. You don't even realize, and it is happening.
Yes.
So I think that is the time when this double concentration, as Dhaval bhai mentioned, it starts happening, right?
The japa will basically lead to a certain detachment within yourself. ठीक है? You will be above the action. You will be lifted above it. The consequence, जो गीता सारी चीजें जो बोलती है ना कि जया जयो, सक्सेस एंड फेलियर, सुख दुख एटसेट्रा, वो आपको डिटैच करने लगेगा. इट विल स्टार्ट प्लेसिंग यू इन दैट इक्वालिटी. You will not be affected so much by what is happening. You will be in a more detached consciousness. And the other things which flow from japa, the contact which it brings with the divine consciousness, right?
And also, Anmol bhai, it would Sri Aurobindo mentions in the Sankhya Yoga system letters, when you are in Purusha consciousness, that itself implies a state of concentration and receptivity. तो इसी में, यही स्टेट में आपको जो कुछ पाना है वो अपने आप वो करवा लेगा. ऑटोमेटिकली रिसेप्शन होता है.
Exactly. You will start becoming a channel and an instrument of the divine. Shall I proceed?
Yeah, please. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. Yes, it says in effect, not only is sacrifice, yajna, the most important part of life, but all life, all works should be regarded as sacrifice, or yajna. Though by the ignorant they are performed without the higher knowledge, and by the most ignorant, not in the true order, avidhi purvakam. 1 second. Yet it says in effect, the Gita says in effect, not only is sacrifice, yajna, the most important part of life. इसका श्लोका मुझे याद नहीं आ रहा. I don't think ऐसा कोई है the most important, but it would be implied in that shloka. But all life, all work should be regarded as sacrifice. Or yajna. Here, just pausing, I might add that the word yajna, how it is formed, all this is to be found in either the Vedic and Philological Studies, volume 14 of Sri Aurobindo, or in the Hymns to the Mystic Fire, volume 16, later on portion. So the word yajna, यज धातु होती है उसमें, ठीक है, न बाद में लग के वो जुड़ता है, बनता है, like that. Yaj is the dhatu. Okay, ya followed by ja with a halant. Why am I saying this? Because the word yoga, उसकी जो धातु है, दैट इज युज धातु। अब आप दोनों धातुओं को देखें, उसमें 3 कॉन्सोनेंट हैं, मतलब 2 कॉन्सोनेंट और एक वॉवल है। ओनली डिफरेंस बिटवीन यज एंड युज is that instead of the akara in the yaj dhatu, there is the ukara in the yuj dhatu, meaning union. So basically, if you go back like this, the words yajna and yoga in the etymology, they are springing from a very similar kind of source. Okay. Yeah. This helps to correlate the 2 words in the mind when you think of their dhatus like this. ये थोड़ा सा डिफिकल्ट हो जाता है एक्सप्लेन करना कि why the dhatu of the word yoga is yuj, but you know every language has some idiosyncrasies. Sanskrit has them the least, English has far greater, so that is not something easily explained even by great Sanskrit grammarians, so least of all by a person like me. But yeah, that is the dhatu which means to unite. Okay, now though by the ignorant they are performed without the higher knowledge, and by the most ignorant not in the true order, अविधि पूर्वकम। अब ये जो फ्रेज है गीता में 2 जगह आता है, जस्ट लुक्ड इट अप इन 923 एंड 16.17। ओके, अविधि पूर्वकम, कि यू आर नॉट डूइंग इट इन द प्रॉपर वे। ये प्यन्य देवता भक्ता यजन्ते श्रद्धयान्विताः तेपि मामेव कौन्तेय यजन्ति अविधि पूर्वकम। एंड देन जो आसुरिक नेचर डिस्क्राइब होता है, आत्मसंभाविता स्तब्धा, basically these 2 verses. I'll share them on the group later on. This is just to illustrate where the word comes, where from it has been taken in the Gita text, right? Yeah, by the most ignorant. इसमें the third that you could add is that told which was told earlier regarding the tamasic doer of the yajna. उसमें जो word है विधिहीनम, ठीक है, उसका नंबर मैं पहले ही बता चुका था। Sacrifice is the very condition of life. Yeah. With sacrifice as their eternal companion, the father of creatures created the peoples. This is a translation of a verse in the 3rd chapter. Sah yajnah, sah माने साथ में, यजनाह यज्ञ के साथ में, प्रजाह सृष्ट्वा, सृष्ट्वा मतलब बनाया था, पुरा in the olden times, उवाच प्रजापति, कहा जाता है उवाच that it is with the yajna as the constant companion. सह यज्नाः प्रजाः सृष्ट्वा पुरोवाच प्रजापतिः अनेन प्रसविष्यध्वम् एष वोस्त्विष्ट कामधुक्। Basically, it through yajna you can get anything. It's an important verse, और full verse यहाँ पे है इसलिए I'm just showing it here. 3.10. The session might extend 5 or 10 minutes beyond to finish this paragraph, so please bear with me. Okay. सहयज्नाः प्रजाः सृष्ट्वा पुरोवाच प्रजापतिः अनेन प्रसविष्यध्वम् एष वोस्त्विष्ट कामधुक्। Yeah. With sacrifice, सहयज्ना, the lord of creatures, literally prajapatih. With sacrifice, the lord of creatures of old, pura, created creatures, सृष्ट्वा, and said, सॉरी मैंने जो कहा था कि इट इज सेड नहीं है, एंड सेड, प्रजापति ने कहा। क्या कहा प्रजापति? ब्रह्मा ने क्या बोला? बाय दिस शैल यू ब्रिंग फोर्थ फ्रूट्स और ऑफस्प्रिंग, लेट दिस बी योर मिल्कर ऑफ डिजायर्स। अनेन, अनेन उसका तृतीया एक वचन रूप है, इदम प्रोनाउन का। अनेन मतलब इसके द्वारा, अनेन प्रसविष्यध्वम् एष वोस्त्विष्ट कामधुक्। Okay, this is what ultimately leads to the idea that through yajna or through yoga or through tapasya, anything and everything can be obtained by the human being. जो एक इंडियन साइकी के अंदर एक मतलब इनडेलिबल आइडिया है कि तपस्या के द्वारा, यज्ञ के द्वारा, योग के द्वारा ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं है जो असंभव हो। It comes from this ultimately.
Even physically in army, balidan sarvo dharma.
Yes.
This is the phrase from the sacrifice only.
हतो वा प्राप्स्यसि स्वर्गम जित्वा वा भोक्ष्यसे महीम तस्माद् उत्तिष्ठ कौन्तेय युद्धाय कृतनिश्चय। हतो वा, अगर मर जाएगा, प्राप्स्यसि स्वर्गम, तो स्वर्ग को प्राप्त करेगा, जित्वा वा भोक्ष्यसे महीम, अगर जीत जाएगा तो इस धरती को भोगेगा, तस्माद् उत्तिष्ठ कौन्तेय, इसलिए उठ ओ कौन्तेय, युद्धाय कृतनिश्चय, हैविंग रिजॉल्व टू फाइट। This verse is used in the army and by the soldiers to motivate themselves कि अगर मर गए तो स्वर्ग मिलेगा और अगर जीत गए तो इस धरती को एंजॉय करेंगे. सेकंड चैप्टर में आता है, राइट?
बोल भाई,
हाँ जी.
बोल भाई, ये here when the word swarga is used, what does it really mean?
इट मीन्स दैट ओनली. वो जो मतलब लेवल्स है ना आनंद के, स्वर्गा मीन्स बेसिकली द देवलोक, आपको उनके प्लेजर्स मिलेंगे, जिसका खंडन वो यामिमाम पुष्पिताम वाचम वाले में हुआ था 42 43 में, उसी की बात हो रही है. स्वर्ग का मतलब स्वर्ग है. स्वर्ग डजंट मीन एनीथिंग एल्स. स्वर्ग का मतलब वही द लोका ऑफ इंद्र. क्लियर? ओके ओके, वेयर इज इट? हाँ, sacrifice is the very condition of life. With sacrifice as their eternal companion, the father of creatures created the peoples. Actually, to do proper justice to this, वो सारे जो set of श्लोकास है sacrifice के ऊपर, beginning with this one, they have to be read, but वो cover होंगे. यहाँ पे तो श्री अरविंदो एक works और knowledge को synthesize कर रहे हैं. That's why I will not go into now. Otherwise, it will be too much of a मतलब anticipation. ठीक है? Am I audible? No response is coming from people.
Yeah, very much.
Okay. But the sacrifices of the Vedavadins, ठीक है, are offerings of desire. वही कामात्मानः स्वर्गपरा, directed towards material rewards. Yeah. Directed towards material rewards.
Like the Putra Kameshti Yagya and all that.
Which yagya?
Putra Kameshti and all that.
पुत्र कामेष्टि यज्ञ और राजसूय यज्ञ, अश्वमेध यज्ञ, ये सारी इस तरह की चीजें.
अच्छा.
जैसे जो बलि था, जिसको वामन अवतार ने मतलब डील किया था, he was doing 100 yajnas so that he will become Indra, like that. And it was the norm in those times. राजसूय यज्ञ है, अश्वमेध यज्ञ है, पुत्र कामेष्टि यज्ञ है. All this is for material rewards, for emperorship or for prosperity or for offspring, whatever. All this has its place, mind you. In the larger complete scheme of things in the universe, in the cosmos, everything has its place. ठीक है? किसी चीज का खंडन नहीं हो रहा है. We are just understanding what is the position of everything. This is the great beauty of Sri Aurobindo. He does not reject anything.
Yeah, he puts them in proper place.
He places everything in its correct place.
Yeah.
Cosmic hierarchy में सारे जो aspects हैं, उसके अंदर इस चीज का क्या स्थान है, वो वहां पे उसको रखेंगे. ठीक है? Yeah. So, but the sacrifices of somebody was saying something.
Yeah, अनमोल, अगर rituals वगैरह हम लोग नहीं कर पाते हैं for whatever reasons, maybe we are not conditioned to do and all that, but then whatever we do, we are offering, and we make our life as a offering all our works to him. Is that not good enough as a sacrifice or whatever?
Certainly it is good enough.
So not necessarily, what if if we can't do rituals and all that?
Yeah. Why not?
Like in my case, I'm sure I can't,
That's
because
That's okay. See, again, matlab, like Hindus हैं, ठीक है, they follow the Hindu system. Sometimes you do these things, you believe in them to some extent. Even जो करने वाले होते हैं rituals, उनको उतना आता नहीं है. But you're like, matlab, they also have to be supported, na? That is their livelihood. So sometimes in order to support their livelihood, you do it. Plus you have some shraddha and all that. But it is not necessary. It is not necessary. If you are completely honest from within, if you are, satata yukta जिसको गीता बोलती है, if you are constantly united, if you are constantly making an effort to make your whole life a prayer and offering, then उसकी जरूरत नहीं है. अगर आप उसको करते हैं तो और भी अच्छी बात है. Maybe you will feel even more complete. But if you are not able to do it, it doesn't matter. The divine within knows, na?
It is at a level of the individual consciousness. आपकी चेतना का कितना विकास हुआ है.
You have to be honest to the divine within you. That way. Yeah. Okay. But the sacrifices of the Vedavadins are offerings of desire directed towards material rewards, desire eager for the result of works, desire looking to a larger enjoyment in paradise as immortality and highest salvation. All this we have covered earlier. Now, paradise is immortal only in a relative sense. It is not perfectly immortal. So if your lifespan is 80, 90 years, the lifespan of the devas will be 1,000 times of that or 1 lakh times of that. But it is not perfectly immortal. ठीक है? वो क्षीणे पुण्ये मर्त्य लोकम विशन्ति. Later this shloka comes. कि when the punyas are kshina, then you will come back again to the martya loka. Or when the pralay happens, then all these worlds are absorbed into the divine. Now the pralay will not happen, Sri Aurobindo and Mother have told, because this is the 7th and final creation and supramental has come. तो प्रलय वगैरह वाला कॉन्सेप्ट अब उतना इंपॉर्टेंट नहीं है, बट सर्टेनली क्षीणे पुण्ये मर्त्य लोकम विशन्ति, एंड इट इज ओनली relatively immortal compared to your lifespan. ठीक है? In the absolute sense, the true immortality, the true permanence belongs only to the Brahman. वही जो हमने 11 लेवल्स पहले रेफर किए हैं तैत्तिरीय उपनिषद के कई बार, इन दैट द फाइनल. ठीक है? ब्रह्मभूत 5.24 में आता है, अगेन वो 18.54 में आता है गीता के, ब्रह्मभूत प्रसन्नात्मा एटसेट्रा, राइट? बिकमिंग द ब्रह्मन. दैट इज व्हाट गिव्स यू द ट्रू इमॉर्टैलिटी. ओके, दिस द सिस्टम ऑफ द गीता कैन नॉट एडमिट. क्या कैन नॉट एडमिट? डिजायर वगैरह. ठीक है? दिस द सिस्टम ऑफ द गीता कैन नॉट एडमिट. For that, in its very inception, starts with the renunciation of desire. Sequentially, हम जो हैं गीता में अब तक second chapter में, yeah. Basically, we are up till 2.53. Yeah, the next verses come. It is 2.55. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Prajahati yada kaman sarvan partha manogata. When Prajahati, मतलब हटा दिया, yada kaman, when yada kaman, all desires, sarvan, all, partha manogata, when you have rejected all desires from you, like that. That is the first time, I think, in the Gita when it speaks of the rejection of desire. I'll just show the shloka here, sorry, because very important shloka. ये वाला. Prajahati yada kaman sarvan partha manogatan atmanyevatmana tuштः स्थितः प्रज्ञः तदोच्यते. The blessed Lord said, when a man expels, O Partha, all desires from the mind, manogatan, and is satisfied in the self, by the self, then he is called stable in intelligence. Okay, that is what he is referring to in the essays on the Gita text.
Anmol sir, over
Yes.
here with desires, does Sri Krishna and Sri Aurobindo the material desires or any desire? Let's say
Any
even I have a desire, on a spiritual plane, वो भी हटा दें क्या?
नहीं, correct, good question. So later on in the 7th chapter it will say dharma aviruddho bhuteshu kamah asmi bharatarshava. Asmi matlab मैं हूं. So I am that desire in man which is unopposed to dharma. जो धर्म के अविरुद्ध है, जो धर्म के विरुद्ध नहीं है, वो मैं हूं. Otherwise तो you cannot do anything ना. Even to worship the divine is a desire. अब आप बोलो कि ये भी desire है, मैं वो भी नहीं करूंगा, तो फिर क्या मतलब? In other ways, it is said the desire for the divine is the one desire which liberates you from all other desires. Here, what is meant is desire basically in the sense of the Rajoguna. You know, that restlessness and that sense of incompleteness. कि हाय अगर मुझे ये नहीं मिलेगा तो मेरा क्या होगा? मुझे ये जॉब नहीं मिला, मुझे ये गाड़ी नहीं मिली, मुझे ये लड़की नहीं मिली, मुझे ये पोजीशन नहीं मिली, etc. Then what will happen to me? You know that sense. Basically, that which does not allow you to act from within yourself. You are, आपके बटन जो है वो बाहर से पुश हो रहे हैं. That is what the Gita is, warning us against.
Got
Right?
it. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. This
But
the system of
Anmol,
yes.
sorry.
No problem.
As a mother, we have desires for our children's, good.
Yeah.
So, when you have a certain desire for your child, and if you pray to God for that, is that a wrong desire?
See, that ultimate desire for everybody should be that they should attain to the divine consciousness, that they should have union with the divine. ठीक है?
Even for
That-
your children.
That is the best thing that you can desire for anybody, including your children or your most near and dear ones. So, yeah, I mean, little difficult to say. If you have the desire, let's say that your child becomes a great person, ठीक है? So it's not wrong because
But
Sorry?
I'm not about great. That is not my
Yeah.
thing. Like, but I want my children to get married or something like that. So is that a wrong desire if I pray to God?
not entirely wrong, but basically, do you know that that is what divine wants to happen for that person or soul? Are you sure?
Yeah.
गीता का जो एम है ना, गीता का एम है वही तो, गीता का एम बहुत बड़ा है, बहुत विशाल है। गीता तब तक सेटिस्फाई नहीं होगी जब तक वो आपको डिवाइन कॉन्शियसनेस के साथ परफेक्टली यूनाइट नहीं कर देती। एंड व्हेन यू आर यूनाइटेड विद द डिवाइन कॉन्शियसनेस, यू डोंट डिजायर एनीथिंग, यू आर सिंपली इन दैट रिदम। वो जो यूनिवर्सल रिदम है ना, जिसको रितम बोलते हैं वेदा में, आप उसके साथ युक्त हैं और जो होना है वो ऑटोमेटिकली होगा। यू आर इन दैट स्टेट ऑफ परफेक्ट ट्रस्ट एंड सरेंडर। So let's take your example. If you are in that state, then you're like, अगर होना होगा तो हो जाएगा, इसमें क्या है? Then you don't want it, then you don't as such pray for it. You are absolutely certain that whatever the divine is doing, it will be the best for my children. Only for good the secret will can work. सावित्री में एक ये लाइन है, तो you will start, in simple जिसको बोलते हैं भगवान जो करते हैं अच्छे के लिए करते हैं. You will live more and more in that complete trust. That's what I'm saying.
And even it would mean not insisting.
Yes, exactly. वही surrender ना, complete trust. You have perfect trust in the
Insist
divine
करना,
wisdom and divine power.
हाँ, insist भी नहीं करना चाहिए.
Exactly.
No, Anmol, there is I'll just supplement it.
Yes.
She talked of the children or relations.
Yes.
But
yes.
if you keep on expanding,
Yes.
it keeps on expanding to my friends. All right, somebody's suffering. Somebody's suffering.
Yeah.
I'm not related, but there is that some kind of empathy or sympathy starts coming.
Yes.
Now, and I would wish that he recovers.
Yeah.
No, I'm not related. No attachment. But this perhaps it
This
keeps.
is a sattvic. This is a sattvic desire.
But it keeps evolving. Finally, you have already said that.
Yes.
If I have.
May thy will be done. जो आप best समझते हैं वो इसके लिए कीजिए.
So but that also prayer has to be intense.
Yes, exactly.
Not a normal.
Automatic process. हाँ. Yeah.
Correct. All right. Okay.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. I also got it.
Okay.
अनमोल, एक और बात है, एक मैंने सुना हुआ है, कोई ऋषि थे, क्या नाम है, आई डोंट नो, वन ऑफ दिस अंजलि's classes, somebody had mentioned there was some ऋषि, उन्होंने तब क्या किया था कि उन्होंने मांगा था कि मुझे ये चाहिए, अगर उनको मिला तब उन्होंने वाकई भगवान को, परमात्मा को माना। ये भी
क्या मांगा था, ये तो बताना पड़ेगा ना।
I think it was something Raj मांगा था क्या? I don't know whether Sarita remembers it not. I haven't remember. हाँ, मेरे को याद नहीं है, कोई कॉन्वर्सेशन भी हुई थी मेरी।
नहीं, अगर राज मांगा था तो obviously that is not हाँ।
नहीं, I don't remember any such thing.
No,
आपको अगर याद आ जाएगा तो बता देना।
There are many stories of this nature.
There are many stories.
There are many stories of this nature. Yes.
Again, ठीक है, you're calling the person a rishi. Fine. Again, गीता में जो योगी की परिभाषा बताई है वो निस्वार्थ होता है, निष्काम होता है, सर्वभूत हिते रता होता है. He doesn't want anything personally. In the Gita's definition of the sadhak and yogi, that personal element is not there. He does not want rajya or so and so thing for himself. और जो गीता की ब्राह्मी स्थिति है, it already makes you totally impersonal. So in the Gita's definition of mukti and the ideal way in which a person should be, all that does not fit the Gita's ideal at least. Rest, when you remember that example, you can share and we can discuss it.
And now there is a small thing when somebody asked the mother did say that if you really want, then concretize and be specific. And she has not said कि don't demand or don't ask for it.
इसमें मैं एक चीज ऐड कर सकता हूँ बस, हाँ करेक्ट, इसमें मैं एक चीज ऐड कर सकता हूँ, हाँ बोलिए।
नहीं, mother has said there is nothing wrong in.
Correct. That's what I was saying.
Nothing wrong, but then you have to accept whatever finally is given to you as if it was the best work it could have been done.
And in this, जैसे जीती ने बोला कि only when that rishi got what he wanted, then he believed that there is a divine, etc. ठीक है? So in the this thing, 7th chapter, the Gita lists 4 type of bhaktas. Okay. चतुर्विधा भजन्ते माम जना सुकृतिनोर्जुन आर्तो जिज्ञासुरर्थार्थी ज्ञानी च भरतर्षभ तेषां ज्ञानी नित्ययुक्तः एक भक्तिर्विशिष्यते प्रियो हि ज्ञानिनोत्यर्थम अहम सच मम प्रियः उदाराः सर्व एवैते. ये सारे उदार हैं, all of these are noble. उदारा सर्व एवैते ज्ञानी त्वात्मैव मे मतम, द ज्ञानी इज बाय वेरी सेल्फ, आस्थित संयुक्तात्मा मामे वानुत्तमम गतिम। ठीक है, सो दैट एग्जांपल जो आपने कहा था, दैट वुड बी कैरेक्टराइज्ड एज एन अर्थार्थी भक्त। ठीक है, उसमें भी कुछ गलत नहीं है सच, बिकॉज इंस्टेड ऑफ आस्किंग समबडी एल्स, at least he has got the good sense to ask the Supreme himself. He is not asking a worldly person, or he is not asking some intermediary Devi or Devta. He is asking the Shri Bhagwan himself. And that also Shri Bhagwan says it is udara. और इसी से उसकी श्रद्धा बढ़ सकती है, and then he will gradually evolve into the Jigyasu and then evolve into the Jnani Bhakta. So it is allowed by the Gita, perfectly allowed by the Gita. In the synthesis of yoga also, जो योगा ऑफ डिवोशन वाला सेक्शन है, द चैप्टर टाइटल इज गॉडवर्ड इमोशंस। देयरिन श्री अरबिंदो सेज कि जो डिवाइन मदर है, she likes it very much when the soul approaches her, because she is always eager to give. That heart of the mother is there in the divine mother, and she is very happy कि the bhakta, the child is asking the mother directly. But obviously if you ask somebody else, that means that you don't trust the mother like that. But the divine mother is more than happy to give what you want. Well, again, it depends. If in her wisdom she thinks that it is better for you not to have it, then she will not give also. But you know, उस सेंस में कि अगर मांगना ही है तो भगवान से मांग, किसी और से मांगने से तो बेटर है। That is there. That is the spiritual idea in the Gita as well as in the synthesis of yoga. Okay, it's 9:10 already. We had started at around 8:03, 8:04. We'll finish this, huh? Yeah. अभी इसमें और दो रेफरेंसेस वगैरह हैं तो
one last thing. So when you say divine mother,
yeah,
so divine mother is
divine mother is divine mother.
no. When you say divine mother, it
In the
means
integral yoga, it is the mother. She is the incarnation of the divine mother. See, your idea of the divine mother can be something else also. उसमें कोई problem नहीं है. It can be Durga, it can be whatever. श्रद्धा important है ना. Honesty is important. Honesty is important. To because somebody is saying Shri Aurobindo said mother is the mother. अगर आपको श्री अरबिंदो में उतनी श्रद्धा है and you are able to believe that she is the mother, wonderful. Because I mean, at least in my experience, there is nothing that the mother cannot do. मैं मतलब I mean, I'm for a long time now, I am trying to connect myself to them. ठीक है? But if in your श्रद्धा and all, दुर्गा ज्यादा फिट होती है, doesn't matter. But it's not proper in the sense कि वो अविधि पूर्वकम है. You are approaching through a देवी देवता. You are not approaching the supreme himself. वो एक थोड़ा सा डिफरेंस है फिर उसमें. आने वाला है वो श्लोक, इसमें भी गीता का आने वाला है. We'll come to that. उसके बाद में कोई क्वेश्चन होगा तो we'll take it up. Fine?
okay.
Yeah. The Gita does not deny. अच्छा, sorry. This the system of the Gita cannot admit. For that, in its very inception, starts with the renunciation of desire, with its rejection and destruction as the enemy of the soul. Jahi Shatrum Mahabaho. ठीक है, destruction. Jahi Shatrum Mahabaho Kamarupam Durasadam. थर्ड के एंड की तरफ आता है. उसके पहले विद्धि एनम इह वैरिणम. इह मतलब यहां इस श्लोक में, एनम इसे, विद्धि जानो. क्या जानो? वैरिणम, नो डिजायर एज द एनिमी. 3.37. और वो जो जहि शत्रुम है, दैट इज इन जहि शत्रुम महाबाहो कामरूपम दुरासदम. लास्ट वर्स ऑफ द थर्ड, 43rd. ठीक है, क्लियरली डिजायर को आपको अपना शत्रु मानना है और आपको उसको स्ले करना है. जही. द गीता डज नॉट मिन्स वर्ड्स इन दिस. क्रिस्टल क्लियर गीता बोल रही. लिबरेशन के ऊपर मैंने एक पैराग्राफ शेयर किया था सिंथेसिस ऑफ योगा से. देयर श्री अरबिंदो डिफाइंड लिबरेशन इन 2 ways, नेगेटिव एंड पॉजिटिव. नेगेटिव मतलब क्या क्या छुड़ाना है, पॉजिटिव मतलब क्या क्या एक्सेप्ट करना है. प्लीज रीड दैट ओवर एंड ओवर अगेन. तो वो जो क्या क्या छुड़ाना है, उसमें 4 चीजें थी: डिजायर, ईगो, त्रिगुणा एंड द्वंद्व, ड्युअलिटीज. ठीक है, सो डिजायर इज द फर्स्ट इन दैट ऑल्सो. द गीता डज नॉट डिनाई even the validity, does not deny the validity even of the Vedic sacrificial works. It admits them. Shall we do it next time, because इसमें टाइम लगेगा थोड़ा.
हाँ अनमोल भाई, let's not rush please, because ये सब बहुत डिटेल्ड है.
Don't want to rush. Don't want to rush. अभी तक हमने thoroughly कवर किया है, comprehensively किया है. It's not fair to do it in a rush.
या बहुत अच्छा, बहुत मजा आया आज.
The
I mean,
deva
I-
does
बहुत
not deny.
क्लैरिटी आ रही है, बहुत क्लैरिटी आ रही है, क्योंकि
अच्छा
वो
सरिता, जो आपका
इतने
वो
सालों का जो दिमाग में है.
नहीं, वो तो श्री अरबिंदो को पढ़ने से क्लैरिटी आती ही है. मदर सेड दैट यू नो दैट क्रिस्टल क्लैरिटी स्टार्ट्स कमिंग व्हेन यू रीड श्री अरबिंदो. बट वही है ना, यू हैव टू टेक द ट्रबल टू रीड हिम. या
मैंने खुद तो पढ़ ही नहीं सकते.
आप जो कह रही थी कि डिवाइन मदर, हु इज द डिवाइन मदर एटसेट्रा, सो उसमें इट्स जस्ट दिस के इफ यू टेक दुर्गा और एनीबडी एल्स एज द डिवाइन मदर, यू नो, बिकॉज यू आर अ हिंदू, that is also fine, because ultimately Durga is nothing but an aspect of the supreme mother. But still it is not the direct approach, and therefore being indirect, it is not that great. यही गीता बाद में बोलती है कि do not approach me. Fine, some people approach me through the devas, and through the devas also indirectly they are approaching me only, but then that is avidhi purvakam. That is not the proper way. If you want to approach me directly. So you know, like in the integral yoga, Sri Aurobindo very clearly, the one whom we adore as the mother, वो जो द मदर मैंने आपको बुक दिखाई थी ना, यू आर नॉट अवेयर ऑफ इट, उसके 6th चैप्टर के फर्स्ट पैराग्राफ में क्लियरली 1 or 2 sentences, the one whom we adore as the mother is the divine conscious force that dominates all existence, one and yet so many sided that to follow her movement is impossible even for the quickest mind and for the freest and most vast intelligence. यही जो वो उसके मूवमेंट को फॉलो करने की जो मुश्किल है, दिस इज व्हाट इज रेफर्ड टू इन द ईशोपनिषद. अनेजदेकम मनसो जवीयो नैनद देवा आपनुवन पूर्वमर्षद तद्धावतो अन्यानत्येति तिष्ठत तस्मिन् लपो मातरिश्वा दधाति. वो जो ब्रह्म है वो आगे भाग रहा है और उसको कोई पकड़ नहीं पा रहा है. तद्धावतो, द सेम थिंग श्री अरबिंदो इज सेइंग, बट इन द लैंग्वेज ऑफ द डिवाइन मदर. ठीक है, तो वेरी क्लियरली देयर ही सेज द वन हुम, एंड देन समबडी आस्क्ड हिम कि whom do you mean by this, the one whom we adore as the, is it our mother? He said yes. वो उसमें there are 3 yeses there, that makes it absolutely crystal clear what Sri Aurobindo means when he says that mother is the divine mother. Some people have this you know idea कि भाई मदर को आश्रम की स्पिरिचुअल अथॉरिटी के रूप में एस्टैब्लिश करना था, तो अब क्या बोलें, तो माता जी बोल दिया. बट इट्स नॉट लाइक दैट, नॉट एट ऑल लाइक दैट कि कुछ बोलना था तो माता जी का टाइटल दे दिया. ये सब यू नो थोड़ा अपरिपक्व या जिनमें उतनी श्रद्धा नहीं है, या आई वुड एक्चुअली मतलब से इट ब्लंटली एंड फ्रैंकली, हु आर लैकिंग इन सम sincerity, fundamental sincerity, they speak like this. It's not at all like this. Sri Aurobindo's words are crystal clear. The one whom we adore as the mother is the divine conscious force that dominates all existence. End of story. ये पढ़ने के बाद कोई डाउट नहीं बचना चाहिए कि मदर कौन है. और इसके कई सारे, मदर से एक बार किसी ने पूछा, मदर हाउ डिड यू नो, जब आपको क्रिएशन करनी थी आपको पता कैसे चला कि करना क्या है. आई इवन रिमेंबर द पेज नंबर, वॉल्यूम 13 पेज 52, एंड मदर ने फर्स्ट पर्सन में उसका जवाब दिया है दैट शी इज द वन हु हैज क्रिएटेड द वर्ल्ड. अब उसको भी पढ़ने के बाद किसी को डाउट रहे तो फिर कोई क्या कर सकता है. नोबडी कैन डू एनीथिंग, राइट. आई मीन दिस इज नॉट टू यू नो कन्विंस यू दैट शी इज द मदर, वो तो अपने आप अंदर से आता है. बट आई मीन these are the things that I have collected over the years from their work, so just sharing them. Fine.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Okay. We'll just close with silence unless
Yes.
anybody has any question, comment, anything.
No.
Anybody? No? Okay, we'll close with silence.